Hi, welcome to another Cotangent tutorial. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to use a kind of magic scan cleanup tool in Cotangent called Solidify. So let's start. I'm just going to drag and drop a file in here. This is a 3D scan of a dinosaur foot that I found on Thingiverse. I'll put credits in the video notes. And what we want to do, you see, like, we drag this in, it's gray because it's got some holes in it. It's got a giant hole in the bottom, it's got a giant hole in the top. So this mesh is not printable as is. We need to sort of fill those holes. And we could do things like Cotangent has auto repair. If we run the auto repair, it's going to work away for a second here, and you can see it filled those holes, but it didn't fill them in a way that we particularly like, especially here on the bottom, because the edge is actually tilted up higher than the middle. The hole fill is kind of cutting off part of it there. It's inside out. So this is a kind of hard thing to deal with. You would have to manually, because it's got this kind of bowl shape, thicken that somehow. Could be a lot of work. So magic Solidify Tool. Click on it and oh, it looks bad, right? I filled in the top, but it just disappeared this bottom part. The Solidify tool has this parameter, and you have to sometimes play with this parameter. I'm just going to show you. See if we change this inflation to 0.75, and there we go. It filled in that top, kind of bubbled it out. On the bottom here, it put this basically flat base. It's not perfectly flat. You might want to plane cut this afterwards to make it perfectly flat in the bottom. But basically, it created this thick region on the bottom from that kind of hole. And this, if we accept it, is green, turns green. That means a solid printable model. Let's go back in there. I'm going to undo that and just show you Solidify. We'll change this to, say, even something a little bit bigger. So the other thing you might notice is that you kind of lose a bit of detail. This is like other tools. It's using a kind of voxel technique. If we turn on the wireframe, you see you've kind of lost some of the shape, so you can turn up this cell size. So as you turn up the cell size, it's going to take longer. So if I change that to 0.5, my computer is going to work away a little bit. You might be able to even hear it. And it does a better job of getting the shape. And you can turn that up. I mean, if you were trying to create a production result here, you might turn that up even higher and then remesh it afterwards, or reduce it down to something lower density. But there we go. You see it filled out the bottom even more here. Okay, so there's one example. Here's another one. It's even crazier. I don't know why that error popped up. Here's one sort of completely open. This is not even remotely a closed model. Even just like plane cutting this to add a flat base wouldn't work. You'd have to do kind of multiple cuts. Could take a while. Boom, Solidify. Works away. At first it's kind of eroding too much. You might think, why don't I just make this higher all the time? 0.5 is this kind of middle range value. We put that up. You can see it's starting to fill in a little bit more. And now it's completely closed that off. It's basically filled in automatically all these pieces, and it's made this head bigger. We can even go higher. The cool thing about this is it doesn't modify really the shape where you had surface. It's modifying where there wasn't mesh, kind of where there was holes. So now we basically filled in the back of this head. So if we accept this, I'm not going to turn up the cell size because we'll just be sitting here waiting. Then we could go in, we could plane cut here, plane cut on the bottom, and we're going to have a printable solid result. Okay, that's the second example. Here's the third one. This one is really crazy. Okay, this is a scan. It's going to take a second here because it's not even connected. It's got holes everywhere. If you try to put this through a lot of tools that would kind of try to automatically repair this, it's going to be a disaster. Not only are there all these little cracks, but if you look, there's kind of scan junk all around the outside. And that kind of thing can be really hard to deal with if you've ever tried to clean up scans. This is from a company called Nia Technologies that makes 3D printed legs for kids, 3D printed prosthetic legs for kids in the developing world. So they have to deal with this kind of data all the time. And I mean, what you might want to do here is just plane cut this and just deal with making the prosthetic socket for the leg. But I'm going to show you that we can clean up this super garbage mesh. We just click Solidify, and boom, it filled in all those holes. It made this into a solid. Same thing. I'm going to turn this up again. Maybe I should just make it higher. There we go. It basically has kind of reconstructed this whole shape here. You see we can make this higher. Maybe we'll use half millimeter resolution. Works away, and there we go. We've done a pretty good job of capturing all the shape we had. It's done a great job of filling in all those open regions. So I'll just say, I mean, it looks on first glance, it might look like it's kind of bad in here. There's like little cracks and things like that. It is solid. That's why I turned green, because it is a closed solid. There's no non-manifold regions or anything like that. We could run a remesh. There's the R hotkey, runs a remesh. So some of the skinny parts disappeared. We can maybe turn this up. But you see here, it sorted all that out. It is actually a closed, nice mesh there with no little tubes or anything like that. There we go. We got the regions back. All right, so now we've got a really nice remesh surface to take this to downstream tools if we wanted to keep this whole shape. Okay, so that's this whole tutorial. Actually, I was just going to basically show you the kind of things you can do with the Solidify tool. It also works on meshes that are closed in a bunch of overlapping pieces. It does all sorts of magic stuff. So try it out. And that is the end of this tutorial. Bye.